into the ocean. So as this picture is showing, you can see that she's been tucked under the wave. So you also want to look out for the coral reefs that are at the bottom, because depending on how fast you're spinning, you can hit the bottom of the ocean, you can get any kind of injuries that way. You also want to look out for like the rocks, because they're super sharp underneath the ocean. So people don't realize how sharp they are, so when they're touching them, they could just easily get a laceration or abrasion. The dangerous currents, which would be like the rip current, the size of the swells in the ocean, because depending on the size of the swell is how fast you're going to spin in the water, so like the velocity would like push you forward. So you also want to look out for the tide, which would be like a high and a low tide. So the low tide, which would mean it would bring, like the tide would come out and everything would be exposed on the bottom. So the rocks are more there, so like the rocks in the coral reefs are exposed for more injury. Also marine life, of course, sharks, turtles, fish, they can also easily have access to you, so be careful. You want to know yourself, because you don't want to challenge yourself to a bigger wave than what you think that you can actually be capable of completing. So try not to overdo or overwhelm yourself. Take a wave that you can actually conquer.
Okay, so the different types of injuries, you have muscular, overuse, you can have fractures, those sorts of things, joint injuries. So basically the most common injuries that they have with surfing is when you wipe out and you fall head first and hitting the bottom. A lot of injuries occur that way. Beach breaks is pretty shallow there. That picture we showed earlier of the reef, that's 4 foot of water, and huge waves come up over that. So if you wipe out there and you're crushed into the reef, like that's gonna cut you up really bad. And so for the shallow areas, you can hit the bottom, and catastrophic injuries can occur that way. There are people that have had cervical spine injuries, been paralyzed, those sorts of things. For overuse, a lot of surfers, competitive surfers use lots of maneuvers, turns, cutbacks, airs, those sorts of things. You kind of put your body in some awkward positions to have some injuries. And also coming down for like airs are a really big thing now. It's all about innovation. We can do the coolest things. Coming down on the flats, on the water, you can have knee injuries, ankle injuries, those sorts of things.
And also, I found this study on the American Journal of Society or Sports Injuries, and this was the presentation what they said, that the shoulder, ankle, and head and face injuries are the more susceptible to injury, because those are usually the quickest ones, and you fall into the ocean, pop your head, you have some kind of injury. The muscular joint and skin abrasion would be mainly from, what she said, like the overuse, which would be like the spinning techniques or the like just the jerky motions that can cause injuries to athletes. So as you can see, this picture, this guy obviously hit his head on something. To the rescue, so why we incorporated for surfing athletic trainers, why athletic trainers would be beneficial to it. So whenever someone's going out for a rescue, depends on where they're located at, depends on who can get to them the fastest. So as you see right here on the right-hand side, the guy that's on his board, those are usually the rescuers that are at the beach, and they swim out to the patients or the surfers that have been fallen. So you see these little hoops that are on the side is where they will usually hang on, the patient will hang on to it, or they strap them in with the actual lifeguard vest and just push them to the front. We have these jet skis, according to where they're located at, they'll run out, go grab them. The patient will grab the back up here, which they call a ramp, so they kind of sling their bodies onto it and grab a hold and take them off. They use boats, depending on how severe the water is. If just he can't make it in or it gets turned over, the boats are right there, they drop them off. It depends on the injuries, they drop them off to the boats to get it back into rescue.
Yeah, so location is a big factor in getting you rescued quickly and the methods in which you would be rescued. And depending on how far out you are, that jet ski can either take you to a boat or take you to the land.
So this is how we found in our local area in Pensacola, like how to become a lifeguard if you're already like an ATC. So if you want to become a lifeguard and be involved in this situation, these are the requirements I found on their website. So of course you have to be an awesome swimmer to be a lifeguard. That's obvious. So this would just be the requirements and what it would consist of to become local. But there also is other opportunities for different places depending on where you are. So if you're in like Hawaii with the big giant waves, I'm sure there's more recommendations for those types of lifeguards than there would be in Pensacola with the little bunny waves.
along the North Shore with PWC, or what some people call a jet ski. Jet ski training started here on the islands, and it started by individuals that work here as lifeguards. They had an idea and a great vision, and it's blossomed all over the world. We've kind of set the standard for that type of rescues around the world. You're put out into areas that you wouldn't normally go. Out there in the surf, in between large pieces of reef and waves, and it's only an engine, and that thing can knock out. And if you're a mile out and the thing knocks out and it's 20 feet out there, you gotta swim.
So this is just an opportunity, a really cool way that athletic trainers, we already have tons of skills to, like a lot of lifeguards, like they are only skilled in the first responder aspect. They know CPR, they know how to use an AED, they know those first responder things, but we can, as athletic trainers, have skills to really help identify the bigger problems that are going on and identify those injuries. And also, it could be like a really awesome addition to the surfing world, and just putting our name in that situation, in that culture, in those areas.
I think it would be really beneficial because we're always on constant preparedness, as we said on the slide. Is that you're always ready to go when you're out on the field, but when you get into the ocean, it's a different atmosphere. But I think it's really connected because you're using the same techniques as you would. You're rescuing somebody, so save their life. We have a medical background in order to keep someone alive, to keep them stable enough for someone else to come and get help. And then pretty much as an ATC, you should be able to evaluate the situation and assess the patient in order to get them proper care.